Hello, I am Ghost and welcome to the second mission of Sniper Elite 3, where I try not to completely muck up things. Yet still do. I kind of feel bad for this guy.
That's loud enough to cover my rifle fire.
But is it loud enough to cover me talking to myself? Because first I shoot him in the back of the head, and then his face gets fried by the flame. I just feel bad for him. It's just not cool for that dude. I don't know if lighting has a huge effect in this game as much as something like Splinter Cell does.
This is a good place to use my binoculars.
But I still thought it was probably a good idea to shoot the lantern that was next to me. Whenever you come into a new area, it's always good to have a quick look around, and especially on lower levels, tag everyone you can find. I played Authentic on the first one, but I was having trouble due to myself. Authentic's very hard, but it doesn't help when you do stupid stuff, of which I tend to do when I'm on Authentic. So I dropped down the difficulty on this one, and on the third mission I played it with Steel Rat, and we put it back up to Authentic. I was waiting for the sound masking here, but the funny thing with this mechanic is sometimes it feels like if the target's not red, it might be actually tracking behind him, and that's why I missed, I think. Whereas now this time, aiming at him, the target is red. And I was waiting for the sound. Guard duty causes splitting headaches. So I thought here I might split up the guards. I don't know if it really mattered, but I thought they had a decent amount of coverage between each other, so I was trying to separate them by taking out different sort of corners. And this guy falls into the fire as well. I got this thing. I should have gone for the headshot on him. I was a little bit impatient, but I was surprised that it took 2 shots for reasonably center mass. And if you know you're going to miss, fire anyway. The sound masking is so important. You've got to use it. If you don't in this game, you just get yourself in trouble constantly. That was probably my best shot so far.
Something to collect from this corpse.
Because how do I know that? I was originally thinking of a headshot here, but then I decided to go for center mass. So I swapped rifles for this one. This time I'm using the Carcano. I do prefer the Nagant, but I thought I'd mix it up. Steel Rat didn't mind this gun. He liked the higher muzzle velocity and flatter trajectory, so I thought I'd give it a go. The Carcano is an Italian rifle, and it was more than 2 million were made. It came out in about 1891 and it's still in service today. And that's the thing with a lot of the sniper rifles. Once it hit a certain sort of level of accuracy, which happened once you have the accuracy, which came in, towards 1900, the rifles were pretty good. And we've refined them. Now the modern rifles, like the PSG-1 and stuff like that's in a different class, but many of these rifles were excellent. It used a 6.5 up to a 7.92 round. That 7.92 Mauser round is a beast. It's an absolute beast. Picking up some stuff, doing a quick search. I wasn't watching my mini-map, and it did show there was still a guard out there. I didn't notice it when I originally played through this. I was looking, but I didn't see him. I finally looked at my mini-map and then I saw there was this guy right here. Quick shot in the back of the head. The North African conflict was sort of unique for the Second World War. It was initially the Italians had huge successes, partly because the British were very overstretched, and it was often called a private war because it didn't seem to be connected to the war in Europe in the same way. Churchill put a lot of emphasis on North Africa because at the time there was little else that was going on where England could be offensive against Nazi Germany, except in the bombing campaign in North Africa. It was also a clean conflict as much as is probably possible. Compared to what was happening in Europe, there was very few atrocities in North Africa, and both sides seemed to respect each other. I think that was partly because of the generals, as they sort of set the tone in a way. All the British ones, and of course Rommel, you have to be patient with this game. There's a lot of moving. I mean, it is a stealth game. Essentially, this is a stealth game. So there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of slow movement. Because the game mechanic for the submachine guns, for you anyway, for the enemy, they have exceptional range and very good accuracy. For us, we have the opposite. Short range with the SMGs and terrible accuracy. And that, in a way, I think is designed to enforce that we act like a sniper and don't try to go on some big offensive action all the time. Yeah, that wasn't such a good shot. And that was even worse. I knew that was going to miss, but I fired anyway. Now I just can't hit the guy. Yeah, that one was terrible. At that point, it's like, I know I'm going to miss. Even that was goes flying through the air. Even that wasn't a great shot. And then I returned to my wild shooting at that guy. If you know you're gonna miss, shoot anyway. That wasn't a bad shot. Greatly aided by the aim mechanic though. Yeah, the Desert War was reasonably early during the Second World War, and Bomber Command was trying to strike against Germany, but the British Army had suffered some pretty heavy defeats in Asia, and the British Expeditionary Force had been pushed out of Europe. So there was very little at that point that was an actual taking the war to the enemy. So North Africa was a rare opportunity to try to bring some good news, even though the actual effects of the war itself wasn't as important. North Africa itself was more important for Germany to be concerned about, as part of the idea of coming through Italy at the end of the war was to try to come into Germany from below. But Britain wasn't really at risk from North Africa being in Axis hands, but it was that opportunity to be able to do something offensive against the enemy that made it so important. And here's another example of, if you know you're going to miss, fire anyway.
I should place a trap here to cover my back.
So apparently from each of these sniper nests there's a possibility of getting a long-range shot. I don't tend to like the sniper nests, they give you a very limited field of view. Two shots again, that seems to be my modus operandi. and he was an Italian soldier. The Italians, they didn't have much stomach for fighting, but I don't think that that was anything to do with a lack of bravery on their part. I think it was more to do with they didn't really want to be there. Mussolini wanted to prove to Hitler that he deserved to be at the table, and I think that the Italian soldier didn't quite feel the same way. I was originally going to take the guy sitting down, but then I thought it'd be cool to hit this guy further away, and hopefully he'd fall into a lake or river or whatever it is that's over there. Which he does. The Carcano itself is not a very famous gun, in that not many people seem to know about it, but it was the gun that was used supposedly by Lee Harvey Oswald in the assassination of JFK. I haven't looked. Oh no, I haven't looked at what cartridge the Carcano uses in the game. The size of the animation makes it look very close to 7.92, but as it's still a game, I'm not entirely sure if they're accurately modelling the rounds or if they just went with something that they thought looked cool. As I feel that I think the bullet size is the same for all the guns. And yep, if you know you're going to miss, make sure you fire. They were kind of already alert, and I was waiting for the sound masking because I didn't want to make things worse, and then I made sure I missed. And then I noticed this guy was coming up to investigate, and I had to go loud, which I really do. I don't like the SMGs at all. So I've moved further down this trail with the idea that if they come to investigate the SMG shot, they might curve around and go to the sniper nest. They allow you to relocate reasonably quickly on marksman. I have mixed feelings about that. On one hand, as it's a game, it allows you to sort of keep progressing forward at a decent speed for a stealth game. On the other hand, I've shot a bunch of people in the head, and I don't think that they would just go back to being relaxed. It's like if they don't find you within a minute, it's like, yeah, it's okay, he must have gone. Don't worry about it. The damage these rounds must have physically caused on a human body, it would be staggering. It'd be the stuff of nightmares, really. I kept feeling that there was somebody else out there. And there was, but not actually where I thought he was. Now, although I've been getting through this, it really has been quite sloppy. I've not been taking the time that I really should be. And this guy I knew was out there still. He was the one I sort of more thought, but I thought he'd moved. Double the distance. And now we have the update to the achievements where when it pops up and says that, it then tells you what you actually got it for. That was in the April update, I think. And yes, this was obviously on, I've been playing this one on the Xbox. So the Germans got involved in North Africa basically because the Italians got in trouble. Mussolini was going through Ethiopia, Libya. That was all going to be his playground. But he got into trouble. The British started to be quite clever and adapt very well to the desert and desert warfare and the use of tanks. We got caught out at the start of the war by the Germans. We held true to more the idea that tanks were going to be trench breaking and infantry support, which is what they were in the First World War. The Germans, however, used tanks for that, but also to hunt other tanks. It was a major change. Blitzkrieg changed everything. And the British started to learn after the fall of France that the game had changed. And the desert was the first place where they started to improve a lot upon what had come before. And they started pushing the Italians back. And Mussolini had to ask for help. And that's when Rommel and the Afrika Korps was sent. And for a long time, it was quite possible that the Afrika Korps was going to win. They were an extremely dedicated group of soldiers and very well trained. And I think that caught the Allies a bit off guard initially, because with the Italians, they'd been very readily willing to surrender at times because they didn't really want to be there. And the British didn't so much become complacent as they, I think, thought it was going to be a different style. And then when Rommel arrived and the Germans had their own tactics, especially with the 88mm anti-tank gun, where they would let the British tanks sort of come into their kill zone, it caused all sorts of trouble. And the war went back and forth in the desert. A vast amount of land was taken, and then the supply lines would get thin, and then the enemy, who had short supply lines again, would push, and then the British would fall back, and then Rommel's supply lines would be long, and the British would be short, and then they'd push back. I think they all hated the heat. You could cook an egg on the actual chassis of a tank.
I'll have to hide any bodies I kill to stay hidden.
I still think it would help if I didn't talk so much. On Authentic, he's looking at you, not with his back to you like he is on Marksman. Which is a small change, but it's interesting that it's not just that the mechanics of the game get a little bit different on the higher difficulty. They also change the movement patterns and the way some of the enemy troops are positioned in that, which I think is a sort of novel but cool way of doing things. There's way too many troops around here. And I need to get rid of some and try to do it as silently as I can. And again, for this I'm using the semi-auto HDM. This is my silent weapon of choice. The well rod is excellent, but I just don't like it anywhere near as much as I do the semi-auto. This mission is drastically easier on co-op. I just want to say that. You can split the guards, you can cover each other so much easier than on solo in this one. Because I knew there was the two guards there, the one in front of me, and I didn't know about the walkway behind me. And then across, not at the tents but to the left, there's also a bunch of ruins, and I wasn't sure if there was anyone up there either. And I came out just a little bit too quick and got really lucky. To be honest, I don't like doing that. I mean, a sniper is a warrior of stealth. His job is to strike without being seen, and it wouldn't matter whichever weapon you use, that's the concept. But it just feels very unsporting to shoot someone in the back of the head when they sleep. So I wasn't sure where everybody was, so I thought I was going to fall back, destroy the truck, and see who popped their head up. The graphics are not amazing, but they're quite nice. I'm a little surprised that the exploding truck didn't alert this guy. And a shot to the head didn't kill him. That wasn't too bad a shot. It's pushing my luck. Tanks seem to adapt very well to the desert environment. There was a lot that was in favour for the tank in the desert. The one thing that they did suffer from, though, was the sand would get into the tracks, or the joints in the tracks, and would wear the seals.
The searchlight operator needs to go.
And they found that tracks are actually more suited to muddy conditions where there's some lubricant. And I think it was there I suddenly realised there was a dude who very nearly caused me a lot of trouble. This had originally been an okay plan. From this vantage point I could have looked over a lot of the terrain and planned ahead. It all got dodgy. The moment this guy came by. Because now I had guys to my right and left, and that's not what I wanted, and that wasn't what I had in mind when I came onto this rock. He's just discovered the dead body. I had to get rid of him. Very much put the relocation marker on me. And I almost didn't see that guy. And again, he went from being fully alerted, just about, certainly suspicious, and then just going, yeah, it's okay. And he should have gone with his gut instinct, because it got him a bullet in the head by doing what he did. I can still hear them. Now I was worried that there was more than one down here. When I initially did this, I could see the searchlight, but I didn't see the operator. Who didn't hear the breaking glass because he's standing on the platform to the right of it. Not a bad shot. Didn't want to have the body laying in the middle of the street, but not much I could do about that. I'm still not sure I've seen that guy up there. I was pretty sure at this point that that guard that had run by was the only one that was over here now, so moving forward was becoming important. In a way, I'm surprised there wasn't more vehicles in this game. As where the desert was concerned, the heat was so bad, they didn't really march places on foot as much as they do in other theatres of war. They relied very heavily on transport. Always check the bodies for useful items. I probably should have checked this area a bit better when I was originally moving through it than what I was sort of doing. I sort of rushed this a little bit. I was lucky that there wasn't anyone. And I'm pretty sure I didn't realize that guy was up there, because while that wasn't a bad shot and it was well timed, I was pretty close to that guy in the tower there.
Vorsicht! Er ist hier irgendwo!
A very lucky double kill there.
Seht mal da drüben nach.
I'd heard the voice, and I was like, that's where I turned around, because I was like, wait, where's that?
Durchkämmt das ganze Gebiet. Ich seh ihn!
Terrible, terrible, terrible. And that all happened was when I was here and I took that shot, I heard the voice was close. And I was lucky I relocated, and it worked well initially as he came around the corner and didn't look at me. What partly went wrong there was that where it was showing my last known position, it obscured exactly where he was, and my first shot didn't hit him in the head. And then after that, it was a lot of panic shooting. As personnel can set off those mines, I thought I'd throw one down.
Effettuate una perlustrazione dell'area.
And when he came up the stairs, he went to the right, which is what I wanted, but he actually missed the mine.
Continuate a cercare. Attenti a dove mettete i piedi. Continuate a cercare. Guardate lì.
I was sort of aiming for the mine here.
State allerta.
And after all that, I shot a guy in the face just down there, and he's laying in the street, and they've gone back to a sort of neutral posture. That's what I mean, it's hard. On one level, from a game point of view, that's probably cool. I actually thought that was a decent shot. It didn't hit him. That wasn't a good shot. And I'd missed the guy I was aiming at. I was aiming at the dude in the singlet. That one wasn't bad. I decided not to push my luck because there's a couple of ways they can come at, and I did put the mine down. This time I was hoping that they were going to run to the mine. Which now that that was what I wanted them to do, they weren't doing it. Yeah, they're still very agitated. Plan B. I was probably closer to Plan F by this point. A little bit of petty vandalism.
Destroying those trucks will damage their supply lines.
I thought there was a guy in the ruins, but I couldn't see him.
Vorsicht! Er ist hier irgendwo.
Könnt ihr was erkennen? Essere qui, da qualche parte.
I could hear them, I wasn't sure where they were, and I felt rather exposed up here. That was a terrible shot, but I thought that one definitely was. The second one I thought should have hit him. The last shot was absolutely terrible.
Spur bisher.
I finally take care of this guy badly. An arm shot. I'd lost him in the flames and my first shot missed. Always look for ammo. Really, at this point I was doing nothing more than pushing my luck. Although I was having success in keeping their numbers down, this is a pretty vulnerable position. And they know I'm here. If this was on Authentic, they'd be flanking me by now. One officer to go. I kept thinking there was one other guard down there, near that scaffolding. Long grass is excellent cover.
It would be worth placing a few traps, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. I like the sound effect for the flies. I'd hoped to pick up a few of them, but I didn't. I didn't expect to hit the ammo box, though. That was an interesting side effect. And I actually killed him.
Visto qualcosa?
So I'd picked up a double kill out of this by the grenade hitting the ammo box.
Restate informazione!
No, I still have to destroy the motor pool, but I have all the officer information now. I'd realised I had to still deal with the trucks. I'm using the long grass to try to get as close as I felt that I could to the machine gunner. There we go. And that MG42 was a ripper of a gun. Very high rate of fire, had a very unique sound. In the game, they've completely stuffed it up. In the game, the rate of fire is completely wrong. The sound is completely wrong, which is funny because a lot of stuff they do is very right.
Ist vielleicht nichts, aber
They're the moments in the game that keep this these are the moments in the game that keep it very fresh. See, I didn't realise that there were still guards out there. I'd suspected originally, but I wasn't completely sure, and now I've put myself in a horrible position. I am literally caught between two different groups. And they hadn't known I was there, but they were very suspicious and they were going to find me. That grenade was incredibly lucky, getting 4 kills. Do not do that. Always try to end up in a position where you can keep control. And in Sniper you can, if you do it properly. This was impatience and not doing it properly that got me into this position. And again, 2 shots. That's one of those really long range shots for an SMG. I didn't mind making as much noise here because I was hoping if they came, they'd come from that one direction down the path, and it's a bit of a killing zone.
Wenn hier ist, finden wir ihn.
So essentially here I'm just trying a great big reposition.
Ist hier irgendwo.
also have to eliminate these trucks, so I'm taking the opportunity to use the dynamite. The dynamite doesn't come with its own fuse.
I can mask my shots if I sabotage this generator.
Yeah, it's kind of a little late now. I do it anyway, but it's kind of a moot point by this sort of stage. Bit of a chain reaction there, which left only the truck below me. Right, the motor pool is now dealt with. The officer is the only one left now to deal with. As main missions go. On marksman, ammunition wasn't really a problem, or grenades or things like that. On authentic, on this level, it can get quite hairy. You can get quite low on ammunition. I wasn't sure how many were left at this point. And that's when it gets dangerous. All the big mistakes I've made in this level has been when I thought I was clear, or close to being clear, and then finding I wasn't. The guy running along the trail caught me by surprise. That last section where I had them on both sides of me was, if that grenade hadn't killed 4 of them, I was in very real trouble there. And that was a self-inflicted problem. Trying to watch my left, but I'm trying to use this truck as a bit of cover. I think that was the first time in the game where I've taken, got to the position where the shot wasn't ideal, but I didn't actually take it. Normally, yeah, it's gonna miss, and I take the shot anyway and miss. That was the first time, I think, in this level where I've started to try to do it properly. And I've done it again. I'm trying to do this properly, right at the end of the game, though. And a headshot, no less. Long distance. That was probably the best shot I did of the game. And I'm trying to use those burnt out trucks and that to give me some cover from being seen from the other end. I think the yellow dude up there, yeah, he's found the body. And a big miss. And take a shot anyway. Did hit him. And big miss. Batter, 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 batter. Swing and a miss. I probably should have laid down. Laying down does actually give you a... there we go. It does actually give you a less of the scope wandering. Another long distance shot. I'd remembered there was still one up on that platform. Throw down a mine. I'm really not sure if there's any guards on that left-hand side there. I wasn't entirely convinced that I was safe on the right either. Partly destroying the truck, I was trying to stir them up a bit and see if anyone would move. But they don't seem to worry too much if you blow up trucks. That must just happen on a daily occurrence. I was probably a little lucky with that shot. And again, I felt that that should have been a killer, but the target was white, which I keep thinking means it's targeting something other than where I want it to go. I didn't know there was a guy in the tower. Him coming down was the first I realised he was there. And I had remembered there was a guy on the platform still. Obviously I blew it up hoping to get him, and it didn't. And now one of the other guys has come right up on me, which would have been the guy coming out of the tower. I'd spent too long dealing with some of the other stuff, and that allowed him to get close. And it finally looks quiet. You can't have too many landmines. Case in point. There's the last piece of intel. It's interesting, they have a semi-accurate Africa
I
Corps
should prepare for his arrival.
symbol. The actual Africa Corps symbol was the palm tree with a swastika on the trunk. In this, I think they did a diamond or something. They didn't want to use the swastika. Which I honestly don't understand. I think that, yes, it's a game, but it's a game set in the Second World War, and that education should be the weapon of choice against this. Not doing the swastika, I think in the long run, is going to help pretend that it never existed. And I think that that's really bad. I think we're much better confronting it, teaching what it was about. Why did we have to oppose it? Why did we fight the war? And I think that all of that stuff is going to be much more beneficial than pretending the swastika doesn't exist. Just cleaning up the trucks now. And that's basically this level. So I got through it, but it was a bit sloppy. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking an hour of your time to watch this. And I hope you had some fun. And look forward to Mission 3. Like, subscribe, and are you part of the Tangent Nation?
I picked through the wreckage to search the corpse. My reward? 2 words. Project Zoika.